In today's class, we are going to discuss a topic called as contract of agency. So before we get inside what is contract of agency, let us first understand who is called as an agent, who is called as a principal, who can be employed as an agent. All these basic things we'll discuss, and then we also see on how an agent can be created upon. So let us first see who is called as an agent and principal. So we all of us know, we are living in a very high-tech world where large number of activities are to be performed by every individual. So it is not possible for people who are doing business to take care of all their needs. They have to depend on someone in order to take care or to represent them in business meetings and also in entering into business transactions. So those people on whom they have to depend on, they are called on about as the agent. So let us see individually who is an agent, who is a principal, and then we'll discuss an example for both of them. An agent is a person, he is employed to do any act for another. That is, an agent means any person can act as an agent. Okay, any person can act as an agent. He will be employed or appointed by someone to do something. As soon as that work is done, he is no more an agent. The relationship between the agent and the other person comes to an end as soon as the work is done. To represent another in dealings with third party, the agent represents someone in dealing or entering into business transactions. As I already told you, whenever that transaction gets over, the relationship between the parties also comes to an end. Now we'll see who is called as a principal. A principal is a person who authorizes someone to act on his behalf. A principal is a person who appoints someone, or he nominates or he delegates someone to do something on his behalf. And a person who is being represented, a person who is being represented by another person is called as a principal. Here we got a very simple example. Mahesh asked Arjun to book a train tickets for him. That is, Mahesh is asking Arjun to book train tickets for him. In this case, Mahesh is playing the role as a principal and Arjun is playing the role as an agent, because the principal is nominating or he is asking someone to represent him. So in this case, Mahesh is called as a principal and Arjun is called as an agent. So next we'll see what are all the essentials of relationship of agency. That is, there are two important rules are there for a principal and agent relationship. One is the agreement between the principal and the agent. And initially, an agreement should be created between the principal and the agent for doing something. As soon as that work is over, the relationship or the agreement between the parties comes to an end. And next one, the intention of the agent to act on behalf of the principal. So whatever the agent does, he should always think in mind that he is representing his principal. So here he is just working on behalf of someone. So these are the two essential features of the agent and principal relationship. So next we'll see who can employ an agent. Any person of the age of majority. So what happened was that any person who can employ an agent means any person of the age of majority, they can employ an agent, and who is of sound mind. That is, a lunatic or a drunken person or mentally affected person, they cannot appoint an agent. A person who is mentally strong and a person who is of age of majority, he alone can employ any person as an agent. Now we'll see who may be an agent, who can work as an agent. Any person who is authorized to act. That is, any person can be appointed as an agent, and that any person can be a minor. Okay, not necessarily that he should fulfill all the required qualities to have contractual capacity. Okay, not necessary he should have the contractual capacity. Any person can be appointed as an agent. So next we'll see, we come to the important segment, that is the creation of agency. How do that agent and principal relationship gets created? There are four different ways in which the relationship between the agent and the principal gets created. And the first one, it is agency by express agreement. Second one, agency by implied agreement. Third one, agency by ratification. And the fourth one, it is agency by operation of law. So let us discuss each one in detail. And the first method happens to be agency by express agreement. The name itself makes it very clear that here an agreement is created between the principal and the agent. And the agent is appointed either by word of mouth or by an agreement in writing. Either orally, a person can appoint another person as his agent, or in the form of a written document or in the form of a written agreement in a stamp paper, he can appoint any person as his agent. Authority given by the principal. So through that agreement, the authority, the power is given by the principal to an agent to represent him, to act within the scope of authority. So there is a limit or a boundary within which an agent should perform or an agent should act. So like we normally say, no, like these type of agreements are mostly referred to authorization or like power of attorney. So like what happened, what is the limit within which an agent should act will be mentioned very clearly in the agreement. And the second type of agency creation is called as agency by operation of law. Sometimes the law itself creates agents. One such example is company. We all of us know that company is an artificial person. It does not have a body, soul and a mind. And so the promoters are considered upon as the agents of the company. Whatever the promoters of the company they does, it is considered upon as the acts of the company. Similarly, if you take on about a partnership firm also, the partners are considered upon as the agents of the company. The acts of the partners for which the firm is being held liable. The third type of agency creation is called as agency by implied agreement. So here there is no open agreement or open expressed way of appointing an agent, but things are being implied upon. So agent by implied agreement, it arises from the context, situation or the relationship of the parties. Sometimes a situation makes certain people to act as an agent. Here we got an example. A and C are brothers. A lives in Chennai and C lives in Madurai. A with the knowledge of C leases C's land in Chennai. So here what happened, we got two brothers are there. One brother is living in Chennai and another brother is living in Madurai. The man who is in Madurai has got some property in Chennai, and so the person who is living in Chennai, he leases out the property of his brother in Chennai and he collects the rent and remits it to C. So each month he used to collect the rent and he used to remit it to his brother who is living in Madurai. A is the agent of C, though not expressly appointed. So even though there is no written document or agreement between the brothers, but still the man who is living in Chennai, he is acting as an agent for the person who is living in Madurai. The second, under this implied agreement itself, we have three more categories are there. And the first one, it is agency by estoppel. Agency by estoppel means a person by conduct or words spoken or written leads willfully another person to believe that he is his agent. That is, sometimes the act and behavior of a person makes the third person to believe that he is his agent. So here also we got an example. A tells B in front of C that he is the agent of C. That is, there are three people are there and one man is saying that I am the agent of another person. And the other man did not object or he did not say anything towards it. He remained quiet. C, after hearing, does not object to the statement. Okay. Three people are there, A, B and C. A says to B that I am the agent of C. C, after hearing this statement, did not open his mouth. He did not object it. He did not refuse. He did not say anything. Later, when B supplies goods to A, C has to pay the price to B. When B supplies goods to A, it is considered upon that he is the agent of C and so the payment will be made by C. The second type under this implied contract is agency by holding out. So like sometimes our previous transaction makes people to believe that this is how things will go. So here also the prior act on the part of the principal is required to establish agency subsequently. That is, previously how transaction happened between two people make others to believe that this is how things will happen in future. So here we got some example. P allows his servant habitually to purchase goods for him on credit from T and pays later. The first two lines makes us very clear what it is all about. So like what happened, there is a man called as Mr. P. He always sends his servant to buy some goods from a man called as T on credit, and later P will pay the money. One day P pays cash to his servant to purchase the goods. One day what happened? P paid money to his servant and asked him to purchase goods from T. The servant lost the money and purchases the goods on credit from T. The servant somehow lost the money. As usual, he went to T and he bought the goods on credit. T can recover the amount from P as he had held out his servant as his agent on prior occasions. So T can now recover the amount from P because in the previous times and all, the servant used to buy goods on credit and P will used to pay later. So now also the servant came and asked and T delivered the goods on credit. So what happened? It is the duty of P in order to repay the money to T. Now the third type is called as agency by necessity. Sometimes a necessary situation or urgent situation makes people to act as agents. So like here we got, on urgent circumstances, law confers authority to a person to act as an agent for the benefit of another without any communication. So there exists no communication between the parties, but on certain urgent situation, some people will play the role as an agent. Here we got an example. A horse was sent by train. When it arrived at the station of destination, nobody took its delivery. That is, a horse was sent through train. When the horse reached its destination point, there was no one to take the delivery of the horse. The railway company feeded the horse for 2 days. Since there is no one to take the delivery of the horse, the railway company itself, the station master, he himself feeded the horse for the next 2 days. Hence, the railway company acted as an agent and hence can recover the amount spent on feeding the horse from its owner. So, the railway company feeded the horse for 2 days and the railway company has got every right to claim the money that they had spent on feeding the horse from the owner of the horse. So, like that, in any urgent situation, sometimes people have to assume the role as an agent, and whatever money they have spent, whatever they do, they can claim it from the principal in the future course. Now we come to the last type of creation of agency, that is agency by ratification. So here what happened? A person acts on behalf of another person without his knowledge or consent. That is, here one man acts on behalf of another person without his knowledge or permission. When the other person accepts that act done without his permission, he is said to have ratified the act and it places the parties in the position of principal and agent. There are two people are there. One man acts on behalf of another person and he takes some decision without his knowledge and permission. When another person accepts the decision taken by this man, then that is called as ratification. And it also places both the people in the position of principal and agent. So here we got an example. A insures P's goods without his consent for 1 lakh rupees. That is, A has taken insurance for P's goods for 1 lakh rupees without his permission. If P accepts A's act, the insurance policy becomes valid as if A had been authorized to insure the goods. When P accepts the insurance, then that insurance becomes a valid insurance. So in this way, when any person does anything without the knowledge or permission of the other person, and if the other person accepts it, that is the fourth and the last method of agency called as agency by ratification. So in today's class, we had seen who is called as an agent, principal, what type of relationship exists between them, and what are all the 4 different methods of creation of agency. Thank you.